Hello, dear listeners. Hope all is well with you. I just want to maybe answer some of your questions. There are quite a few questions that I accumulated throughout the recordings that I've did in the last month or so. So a bunch of questions were asked exactly on the topics that I was addressing, and some of them are not related to things that I was kind of dwelling on or explaining, etc., etc. But a lot of questions are great, and I welcome more. So I'm just going to start addressing one by one as much as I remember. I did not write them out. Whatever I remember clearly, I'm going to address them, and then we'll see how the flow goes, and maybe I'll just stop and elaborate more on certain things, and hopefully we're going to have a nice interaction. In the future, or maybe even today, I want to allow one of you to just raise your hand and maybe come with me live and maybe ask you a question live, and maybe 10-12 minutes we could stay back and forth, and I will see how I pick up whatever concern you have, and you'll see the style of my work. Instead of just listening to me one way, you could test me working with people, and I think it will be interesting interaction for others to see. So you just raise your hand whenever I will allow you to speak, and you could come live with me. One question that people ask, what do I mean by saying we're entering a new era and we're coming into like a new, so to speak, universe vibrationally, and not only vibrationally. In a lot of sense, the value system is changing. A lot of principles that people used to hold on to, they are upgrading, they're changing, they're evolving, and it becomes extremely hard for some people to make that shift, to make that change. But I just want to say how I see it and how I felt it whenever those shifts happen in my life or around me, and I'm just going to share with you what I mean by that. I feel that humanity is really truly moving into another universe. Yeah, and you know, a lot of people do speak about like how bad the world is and how horrible things are, and the family values are changing, and all this like not wanting to have children or get married, or people are not as kind as they used to, people are not as great of believers like they used to, and like religions are really jeopardized, and it's like all going down the drain, and blah 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 blah. The way I see it, it's true that the old system is dying off, and it does look scary. It does look like the world is like slipping out from us. But if you tune in with the right vibes, so to speak, with the right alignment in a way, there is another part of us which is really flourishing and evolving and creating and erupting and becoming, right? So it's true on both ways. There is unfairness, and there is wars, and there is hate, and there is a lot of that. And why it's dying off? Because it was surviving on the old kind of value system, and an old, in a way, authority, right? And there is a place where certain things need to just like die off. It's much better this way than start changing it and sifting and filtering, and it's more painful to filter and to change and to upgrade, especially if there is no will and there is like a certain stubbornness and certain stuckness kind of. And then it's better to kind of make it go away in a way, and then bring it or something similar to it into a new reality. The new reality, briefly, I do speak a lot about the shifts that are happening. I actually have a whole flow that I taught maybe a year ago about how the new parenting is actually coming to life, like old standards and old belief system, how to raise children and how to kind of raise a loving human being and a successful human being, how that is all not gonna work anymore. So I do have those recordings, maybe even like few of them, how the new relationship is forming, how the new relationship with husband and wife, or just a woman and man, and what's the new value system, and in parenting and in a personal development and personal maturing. And some of it I do address in a kind of devotion and love towards religion or religious path or spiritual path. That also is, in my opinion, is changing. But the main point that here in the short, brief kind of question and answers that I want to address, it very much kind of comes down to character traits and certain habits and certain belief systems and certain thoughts that we repeat in our brain, certain like reoccurring systematic thoughts that come back to us, and we react to the certain things in a similar way, in a similar kind of approach, right? And bottom line, it's a certain kind of personal system that you developed and you accumulated and you gathered, and it's like a mature gestalt, right? That is makes you right now into existence. And in that we were taught from our old system that there is good and bad. You're either kind or you're cruel. You're either forgiving or you're resentful. You're either healthy or unhealthy. You're either soft or you're stuck or kind of unbendable, right? So we are trained in a way to think that way. We are trained in a way to kind of function that way. But really, in a new reality, none of it is going to matter. In a new reality, this all narrow approach of being kind or not kind, being good or not good, being considerate or not, being patient or not, that is not going to be good enough in order for us to kind of shift into the new reality. And we see a lot of people are challenged right now, to the extent that there's like a lot of stuff that we pushed away are coming to surface, so we actually could address it and withhold it and be able to pass through it in order to redefine new me in a way, redefine this new person that lived through certain challenges that never faced before. Like there is a new us erupting. And for that new you that is able to kind of pass through certain episodes, through certain lessons, through certain situations in life, that should create a certain personality that eventually, if you tune in more deeper into who you are now or becoming or slowly coming to be, that should wake up in us a certain level of character traits that we never knew they existed actually. And those character traits are mostly geared towards creative expression. If before you had to be suitable, comfortable, loyal, devoted, committed, giving, and kind of comfortable for X amount of systems, and suitable and obedient, right, in a way. And that defined you as good enough for the new world, in a way, right? Hello, thank you for listening. In a new life, in a new world that we are slowly moving into, hopefully we're all gonna kind of enter there, right? It's new expansiveness of your own creativity is going to be pushed out of us. We have to be creatively expressed. We have to appreciate our creativity. We have to think in a way that calls out our creativity. We have to think thoughts. We have to feel certain energies that call out our creativity, our creative energy, our flow. And in a way, those two things don't go together. If you're very committed in a certain kind of degree of being obedient, giving yourself over, being like slave-like, right? Slave-like, I'm not afraid of that word. Creative energy cannot be called out. It cannot be seen because it's a contradiction. And yes, it is painful because all our lives we were taught this is what you do and this is how you are defined as good and as important and as valuable and as kind and needed in the world and for the world and for people. Right now, all of this is challenged. And a lot of people start thinking like, oh, it's not valuable anymore to be devoted, to be loyal, to be giving, to be motivated with like self-sacrifice and kind of giving yourself over for the idea, for certain belief system, for certain ideas higher than us, so to speak, spiritual ideas, concepts, etc. For some reason, people define it in a way because they were thinking black and white and good and bad. If this is not important anymore and the new generations are not looking towards that anymore, new kind of children, teenagers, younger kind of expressions, they are not looking towards that. So that means they are going towards bad, like automatically. That's where people are looking. And a lot of scholars and a lot of gurus and a lot of teachers are very much communicating that fear, very much translating this is where it's all going, like everything is gonna die off, people are gonna be super selfish, super kind of unforgiving, super careless, there's a certain sense of like autism, right? Like careless, who cares, I don't really care, I don't really know, I don't want to know, and all this carelessness, right? But really, if you like stay committed to wanting to understand, we definitely are not going down. We are going up in a lot of ways. We are going into a new reality which is not familiar to us, which we're not trained in, and nothing like this ever happened before. Such change and translation never happened before. So yes, there's a lot of sifting going on, a lot of dying off is happening, a lot of disappearing happening, a lot of disqualification happening, but it doesn't mean there is nothing next door that we're going to enter that is going to develop us and mature us and impact us with a lot of good. So in my opinion, it's just a matter of tuning in, understanding, staying open with your love towards the world, because the minute you start judging or create fearful thoughts around certain element of present world or present expression of humanity or people or the world or political leaders or economy or wars or different countries' decisions and blah, blah, blah. The minute you have like judgmental thoughts and fearful thoughts and aggressive ideas and thoughts, you are not capable of tuning in and seeing what's us expanding into, what are we moving into. So just take one thought that really scared you in this world, right? It could be, I don't know, environment or quality of food or inability for people to cure like basic diseases and illnesses, although there are cures. Like a lot of people could spin around certain things. And like for me, for instance, it could be easy just now to dwell and create a campaign saying, oh, there's a lot of methods and solutions to cure cancer already existed for like 20 years. And here we are still losing people just because the medical system decided not to accept it, not to legalize it, not to put it in the regular system, blah, 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 right? And I could just like dwell in that. And a lot of other people could dwell in a lot of other things like criminal and like child abuse or neglect this in this area or the other, or like education system or political system, and look at the war, and look in Israel, and look in there, and look in Ukraine, and look in Russia, and like you could really get convinced in that self-righteousness and like get really, really stuck saying that the world is really going down the drain and it's really bad and it's like really horrible, and you take one side and you really start really dwelling there and like accumulate followers to support your ideas and to fight with you and to prove the right side, so to speak. But with all those tendencies, I feel people just block themselves from the bigger picture. And it's not naive and it's not ignorant and it's not like, oh, you have to voice what's right and wrong. You do have to voice, and that's actually, now we're gonna slowly move to another question that I was asked. You have to voice and you have to speak only if you accept the world as it is right now. And that sounds easy. And it sounds like it's, what's the big deal? You for sure accept, but it's not. Most people that are campaigning or explaining their side of the story or proving their righteousness or trying to get other people involved and get them on their side is because they're not accepting. Very on a deep level, there is a conflict. There is like, this is right and this is wrong. That's how it should be, and this is never done this way. And all these political leaders are that, and they're all crooks, and the medical system is horrible, and the education system is terrible. It's all outdated, and it's because you do not accept the present moment. And this acceptance and love that it's not my world. This is God's world. And there's a certain wisdom and certain consciousness behind this all. This world always been, and for sure will be, full of kind of duality and yes and no and opposite energies, and not everything that is yes cannot be a no, and not everything that is absolute no cannot be a yes. We are always invited to stretch in that way in this world. And yes, it's the most educating world for the soul, because other worlds are less contrasts and less kind of stretching like that. But over here, this is the platform. This is where we are invited to accept that's how it is over here. And it's unfair, and on some other end, it's very fair and very balanced, and it should be exactly as it's going. And some part of us, which is very like, well, logical and primitive and maybe like old-fashioned, could like, rah, 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 how unfair this is and how idiotic it is and how not normal this is and la la la. But the more expansive and more broad and more higher consciousness of us sees how perfect this all is and how it all creates a certain balance and how it all pays back and pays off and completes and concludes and matures into something new, and it all makes sense, right? So we could and should, on a more primitive side of us, take sides and be there and support and understand and proclaim the fairness, so to speak, if such thing exists, because it's very hard to understand fairness on a lower vibration of consciousness. So only after we accept this world as it is and just step out and say, this world has a creator that runs it. His consciousness is much stronger and much deeper than mine. He understands it the way that I would never be able to understand. And if certain things come into existence, I submit and I surrender. There is more to it than I could possibly understand. I, on a deeper level, on a more spiritual or more personal level, first have to submit and first have to give in the rights to the creator, whoever runs it. And then from my human part, I could logically kind of evaluate, and I could speak to people who could understand it better, and maybe they could explain to me better, and I could expand my consciousness even in a human perspective, more wider, and grow into something deeper. But there is definitely not absolutely bad and evil here, yeah? And that brings us to another question. I hope this is clear for those that are listening. Thank you for being here. Just send your reactions if you understood what I meant and you're with me, and hearts or thumbs down if there is such a thing. One of you asked me a question about anger, right? I think I was speaking in one of our live videos here that whenever anger comes, you have to embrace, you have to validate it, and you have to be there to open yourself up for that specific emotion. And she brought a source from sages that say anger is equivalent to idol worship, and we should kind of chase it away and knock it out and kill it, etc., etc. So I think there's different looks at things. I'm not saying I'm right or that statement is right and there is no more right to it. There's definitely 2 points. I think from obedient point of view, when a system like a religion is trying to create a group of people where there's a certain control and behavior system and order and balance in a way, even though religion is not the term to call it balance, because there's a lot of kind of out of balance stuff in religion could happen. And so from that perspective, anything negative, anything disturbing or distractive should be demolished, should be kind of killed and uprooted. But in a system of self-development, whenever you are entering, let's say, constant therapy for yourself, and you are on a journey of self-discovery and creating a kind of a path where you could create wholesome you, where there is a complete you, not only exaggerated good part of you should be stressed and activated, but bad part of you should be knocked out in order to fit certain system. where you are trying to and growing into a system where you are in touch with everything that goes on in your life, and you create peace and harmony with that, right? So then in that system, when we're talking about anger and irritation and hate and jealousy and anything in that nature, the best thing is to understand the world has those energies, and I am, as part of this world, going to pick up those energies from the world and going to be a carrier of those energies as well. There is no denial that, oh, I should only have good energies in me. It's a denial that some religion systems are trying to kind of school you into, right? And I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's important to have stages in development and maturing. And religion has part in self-development, but it's not a complete or final kind of degree of self-development. There's much more to it. So I think for the sake of a religion, it's important to say that in order to create certain control and system and kind of orderly, kind of obedient behavior system. But when you are free from that and you just put it down, religious point of view, just like let it rest for a minute. You're not in pushing it away, you're not hating it, you're not loving it, you just put it down and you pick up a new system of looking at yourself. And over there, you are understanding there is no way out. This world has hate, always had hate. The first two brothers demonstrated to us that hate, right? And jealousy and competition. And it's part of this world, just like the sun and the clouds and the rain and the animal world and the plant world. Like, we are part of it. We can't say, oh, there's no animals in this world. We just like decided to wake up one day into a new reality. No, there are animals, and there's certain animals are dangerous, and we should know where to go and where not to go and how to behave in case we come across certain animals. Like a certain clarity and connection and awareness and education, even how to handle it. So I would say, thank you, my dear, I would say you accept there is always going to be anger in the world. Actually shifting into a new reality, it's going to translate, and frequencies of anger are going to change, but more primitive state of anger is still going to be in our mind and our memories. But the idea of anger is still going to be here, more kind of uplifted, so to speak, more developed. So anger and hate and jealousy, etc., is part of this world, part of this contrast. And I accept it in the world. I accept it in me. I validate in me. Now, there's a difference between letting yourself be angry and hateful and judgmental and aggressive. And there is a difference between accepting it as a matter of fact in the world and as energy in you. So I'm inviting everyone to do this through therapy, accepting those parts of anger in the world as a matter of fact, as a tool, right? We're not saying it's right or wrong, it's just is. And in you, there's certain heavier or more kind of rough or not intelligent part of you, and they are there. They're 100% there, and your job is to validate it, create space, make contact with that energy. Anger, for instance, is the energy that helps people accomplish stuff, set goals, and come through with them. That's initially is by accepting or holding on or carrying inside you as a valid tool. It's emotion of anger, ability to create a certain lifestyle for yourself, set the boundaries, healthy boundaries for yourself. All those abilities need an element of anger, need your connection to accept it in you, accept it as a tool and as certain strength, and know how to direct it and use it. But initially, we need to be in touch with it, validate it, be aware when it's coming, know that when it does come, all you need to do is to allow it to live through you. It's not about, oh, I'm angry right now at someone, so let me go and yell at them. Yes, it's an expression, but more primitive expression, or let me hit them, or let me put them down, or let me punish them, or let me embarrass them. This is all elements of anger, but they're more undeveloped, they're more not refined, so to speak, right? So, and that usually happens with people that are dissociate themselves with anger. And when they are faced and the anger comes through them, just because it's part of this world, and we are channels for all the energies that are flying in the world and coming through us. So usually people that are not connected, they express their anger in a very primitive way, in a very undeveloped way, in a very kind of unrefined way. But those that accept it in the world and know that there is such like powerful energies out there, conflicted energies, contrasted energies, and you allow yourself to also accept it in you, and you just like sit with it and say, yes, I'm also carrying X amount of jealousy and X amount of hate and X amount of anger and irritation and revenge and resentment. I'm a carrier of that, but I will, by accepting it and developing my personal traits, I'm going to, whenever it comes through me, I'm going to be able to maturely allow that flow to pass me without disturbing or distracting me or others. And the best way is firstly to accept, understand. There will be a time where I'm going to be possessed by those energies, and you just like stay open your heart and just say, as I am accepting this world and I'm accepting me being part of this world and this world run by this world's creator, I'm just like a channel that need to ground those energies through me in a most mature way. That's my goal. My goal is not to deny or to push away or to repress or to disconnect or to run away and be embarrassed. But my job is to be able to translate anger into, I don't know, a golden medal, for instance. That is a more mature translation of anger, when you are disciplined and you day in and day out kind of develop certain skill, and you put effort and you accomplish and you make yourself show up for certain goal. That is a healthy expression of anger. When you are kind of able to not to lose yourself in a certain stories or certain situations or tests, that requires a healthy connection with anger. When world is shaky, when things are falling apart, and you could just lose yourself in that, or you could have that anger energy that is transformed and translated into a certain mechanism that helps you to withhold, helps you to stay strong or stay loving regardless of what's going on. So our job is not to say, oh, we should push it away. Firstly, if you ask anyone, what does that mean, push it away? And would that help anyone today saying that it's as if you're worshipping idols. If you're angry, if let's say you decide to yell on someone, people that annoy you or take advantage of you, or I don't know, do something wrong, right? Does it help you if you say at that moment where you are possessed by that anger or like taken by that anger, oh, I'm just like as if I'm serving idols at that moment? I don't know if it's going to help anyone, you know, honestly. Maybe it does. But in my practice, like those great ideas at the moment in your body, in your reactive state, I don't know how much it helps, honestly and truly. So I think religious statements, religious concepts should be utmost respected, utmost honored. But at the same time, you have to understand, is it working for me at this time in January 2025? Here I am standing in front of this challenge. Is it helping me? And be totally honest and say, it's not to say that, oh, religion does not help me. It's to say that religion helps and there's other tools that help too. For instance, therapy could help me understand and be more in touch and be more in peace with a certain part of the world or certain translation of the world and how things are run here and how things need to be processed here, how not to be reactive, not in a repressive way, not in a submissive way, in a way that, oh, I should not be reactive, I should express absolute acceptance and love and grace and care and unconditional kind of presence for everyone and everything. I think this is a little bit out of touch. Honestly, we could be unconditionally loving only if we accept our shaded side and our bright side. If we are not in touch and we are not holding that this is also part of me, this is also part of my mix, it's also something that is important to me. I fall on it a lot living in this world. My body is very much that shaded, undeveloped kind of consciousness is very primitive, and it's very primitive consciousness there. It gets scared of things. It gets scared if you hear ambulance driving. It says that on some kind of frequencies, the body reacts as if something is going to happen to it. Whenever we see accidents, we react on a body level as if it's happening to us. There's a certain level of stress that the body takes. But it doesn't mean it should be neglected, and it doesn't mean it should be pushed away. And it's true in some religious kind of schools. It's brought up like it's irrelevant. The most relevant is the soul. The most relevant is the spirit, and that's where we should direct everything towards. But the body is irrelevant. We should punish it. We should discipline it. We should kind of control it in a way. Yeah. No, I have a different belief system that I teach and I explain to my clients that our primitive parts should be held by hand, and we should deal with its fears and limitations and misinterpretations from more mature parts of us. We're like multi-level beings. We have much upgraded parts of us, much mature parts of us, much conscious parts of us, and very, very dull in a way parts of us. So the wholesomeness of a human being is to create that unit, to create that love and connection between primitive and more mature, adult and a child, right? Adult holds the child by hand and says, I'm here, we're going to be together, trust me, we survived back then, we survived passing that ambulance and that accident, and I could guarantee you we will survive together later on as well. And you talk to your body. There's different techniques that you calm your body down, you explain to your body where you're holding, what's going on, because body stores all those fears and unfairness and threats and discomfort, even like extreme cold weather or extreme hot weather could be stressful to our body. And then we say why we age so quick and why there's certain diseases come to young people, because there's certain level of stress that is not addressed on a bodily level. Thank you, my dear. So those two questions. I also was asked about, thank you so much, about child development in a new kind of frequencies in a new universe that we are entering into. It's true, I have experience with raising children, and I've been a teacher, and I'm a Montessori teacher, and I thank goodness have my own 7 children. And some of them are more mature than me, and they talk like big important rabbis and gurus. But at the same time, entering this new kind of era, so to speak, I am new as well. Like, as much as I have experience, and as much as I know all the certain no's and certain yes for the better child raising, but I want to say that the more humble we are and the more open we are as parents, and not come with our like belief system that worked for us and worked for us as kids and worked for like older kids, and therefore it should work for younger kids. No, every child is a separate universe, number one. Even if they're like 2 years apart or 20 years apart, they're completely new universe. And they're coming with their own mission, with their own path, with their own experiences that they want to go through. And the best, I think, that worked before for me is to be out their way as much as possible. Obviously, you are there as a caregiver, you are a source of love, constant source of love. And by love, I mean acceptance, knowing that there is a lot of support that their soul has in this particular incarnation. And you as a mother, as a parent, is a very kind of low vibrational support system. When you know that they have higher support systems and you step out the way and you don't act all responsible and all kind of knows what's up much better than they do, that flow that you know they have their own angels and guides and sense of direction and certain teachers in this world that are waiting for them and waiting to guide them. And you like create that and you surround them with that knowing. That is the best that a parent could give. Of course, you are there to discipline them in some ways, but even that discipline should not be stiff and should not be like unbendable. You should always be flexible, always ready to make a turn, to make a, like to step aside, to show up and be ready to be pushed out, be ready to be not called in for a long time. Just be ready for those things, right? And when you're ready for it, you are very much needed as a parent. When you're like a burden and when you cannot accept that there's other possibilities for this kid and there's other callings for that kid, and then there's a lot of traumas there. So in my opinion, I myself learning, I have a 3-year-old and our oldest one is 25. So how I raised a 25-year-old, I try not to apply here at all. It's a different time, different soul, different karma, different expression. And I don't feel that I am more experienced than a new parent that just having their first kid or second kid. I feel with every expression of parenthood, it's a new experience. We are born into a new relationship, into a new dance with a soul that was kind of given to you to supervise, to surround with love, to give that attentive belief system that everything is working out for this kid, only good things will unfold, he has good support system, God knows what he's doing. I'm only here to be that observer, to be that one that sees it like that. And a lot of parents are kind of wired in a way that the more I worry, the more responsible I am, the more I show concern and worry and question. And this is what the definition of caring parent. I don't agree with that at all. A definition of a caring parent is that ability to step out, to surround by love, and to believe that there is a lot of support that this child has. Okay, whoever is ready to come live with me, I am gonna take one question. If you are ready, just raise your hand. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you like today's question and answer conversation. And I guess if you're not, you will be ready for next time. So the way I want to build this, you right away ask your question, you introduce yourself, and you receive your answer here. Who wants to come live with me? I know I'm putting you on the spot maybe, and not everyone wants to be openly expressed in that way, but that's part of it. Part of our interaction is to help others. That's why I'm here, by taking your questions, by responding to them, by sharing what's going on for me in my life. The main goal is just to be helpful to you in any form or shape. And I want to invite you to the same game that I'm in, to be helpful for others, even though it might be uncomfortable for you and not necessarily the most pleasant for you, but we're here for each other. Okay, I guess nobody wants to go live with me. I want to thank you for today's interaction. I felt your energy present, and we still interacted on some level. And we'll see you next time. I love you all.